Welcome back to Safas Unscripted, episode 59, boys. We decided, listen, we're going to switch it up. We always had fun Fridays, but we're going to make it a little fun Wednesday. Middle of the week, some fun days. So what are we going to do today? We've focused on a lot of reviews and predictions and stuff. So we're going to decide on current form who we would decide to be our Springbok 23. Now, obviously, these players are only allowed to play in South Africa. Okay, so you can't name the likes of a Damian Dialinde or something playing in Japan. They have to play for South Africa here, and they can't be an injured player. So this is if we had to decide a team to play this weekend, that's the team we put out, unless there was like an injury recently, like last weekend or whatever, something like that. Just like a little niggle, okay, if we can say it like that. Welcome to the panel. We got Brett Burns, Brevan Herbst. Boys, we just quickly, we called a clean sweep last weekend for the South African teams. Brevan's the only one that won that one. Brevan, do you have anything to say to the people? Calling yourself a rugby guru or something?
Look, it's just I was being realistic. I didn't think the Bulls would win in Leinster. I didn't think they would get hammered, though, and that happened. But I didn't think they would win. I said the bench would be the difference, and that's all I can really say. The bench was the difference, and that's really all I can really say. So congrats, Leinster.
Yeah, Brett, because we're not really getting... Did we even do review? We did a review. So, Brett, you don't have anything extra to add, do you?
No,
okay, anyway, enough rubbish talk. Let's get down to business and create our fantasy team. Okay, so how it's going to work, boys, is we're all going to mention our player. Like, obviously, you two are the main guys, and I'll be the mediator. I'll also just throw in a name or two. But we're starting with the one position. Brett, take us away. Who do you got in the one position?
I got Lucid Prop, a friend of the show, actually, JP Smith. For his scrumming has been great the last 3 games. But the last 2 games, his general play has been phenomenal. Hitting gaps like it's nobody's business, bouncing people, offloading in tackles. I did, however, say to him that I'm upset that he missed a very easy tackle in the last game that he played. But other than that, I think he's the in-form loosehead prop at the moment. General play.
Fair enough. Brevan?
Okay. I went with Gerard Steenekamp from the Bulls. Shock. But yeah, I feel like he's been phenomenal for 2 seasons now. He's kept his form going. He's been strong. He got his Bok call up towards the World Cup. Obviously, he was on standby for the World Cup, didn't go. But obviously, he got the call up when there were a few injury crises there for the Boks. He had a good game against Argentina. And then this season for the Bulls has absolutely killed it again. So I went with Gerard Steenekamp. I really think he deserves a spot in the Bok camp at the moment. So yeah, that's who I went with.
Yeah, I mean, obviously there could be a little bias coming in. Like obviously JP Smith, a friend of the show, he's been on the show before. But I have to side with Brevan. We've talked about how good the scrum has been of the Bulls and stuff, and large parts of it comes from Gerard Steenekamp. He's also been on the scouting list of the Boks and stuff, so we have to go there. But of course, that's not the end of the line for JP Smith. We still got the bench as well, so we'll get into that soon. We'll just move straight on. Brevan, seeing that you won that round, shut up, Brett. Okay? This is not your time to talk. I called on Brevan to give us the hooker of the team.
The hooker, yeah. So this was very tough, and again, this could be biased from my side again. But this literally was a coin toss for me. It was between Andrew Hikofenta from the Stormers and Akker van der Merwe from the Bulls. I went with Akker van der Merwe, but actually we made this team like 2 days ago. All 3 of us made our own side, and I've kind of maybe shifted my thoughts. I do have Akker van der Merwe in my team, but I'm actually not against starting Andrew Hikofenta at all. I think I think Akker van der Merwe can make a good impact off the bench. So I'm actually going to swap it, and I'm going to say Andrew Hikofenta to start.
Love it, Brett. Surely gotta agree.
I do agree. I literally went through when I decided we're going to do the team thing. I went through the last 3 games of every team. I went through their starting lineups, and then I try to compare. Like, I watched this game, I watched that game, and I just went with the last 2 or 3 games where I felt that Ackerman, yes, he's always good. He's always good. But Andre Guventer, for me, yes, he's benched as well, more than Akker van der Merwe. But I do think that Andre Guventer is the future of SA Rugby, and he's got mad skill. Like, that oak has mad skill. And his line-out accuracy is like next to Mark.
And also, I think it's very good that obviously we have the best hooker in the world in Malcolm Marx at the moment, and obviously we know he's injured, and obviously we wish him a good recovery. But we have 2 hookers, one from the Bulls, one from the Stormers, and I'm not even talking about Akker van der Merwe. I'm talking about Jan Hendrik Wessels. That's also another great talent, as well as Andre Guventer, and those are 2 young hookers that can take South African rugby forward in that department. So I'm super excited to see those 2 work together for the Bok team one day.
Yeah, so obviously in the number 2 position we got Andre Guventer, and the other day we spoke about who could be the future captains of South Africa. Now, just a quick question, just like battling off the topic. If Andre Guventer was to get some consistent game time for the Springboks and nail his spot down, I know Malcolm Marx is still there, Bongi Manambi is still there, but obviously Guventer is still so young. Do you think he could be a shout for the captaincy in the near future? Let's say in the next 3 to 4 years, if he gets consistent game time?
I don't think I've seen enough, and that's all I'm going to say is I haven't seen enough of him in that department. So let it play out the way it needs to play out, but I can't make an educated call on this because I haven't seen enough. So I'm going to put on, I actually don't know, because I don't know what he's going to bring in the future.
No, I don't think it's far-fetched out, but I do agree with Brevin. Let the Oak play. Let him establish himself a bit. And just, you guys need to remember that his dad is one of the best flanks that the Springboks ever had. He's in a wheelchair now, but his dad, Andre Venter, was one of the best.
But not necessarily to say he's in a wheelchair. You could have just kept it out. He's one of the best we've ever had. Anyway, fair enough.
He sacrificed everything for us. What a legend.
Jeez. Moving on. So we got Steenekamp, Hugo Venter. Who ends the front line for us, boys? Who goes into that competition?
I think we both agree.
Yeah, we do both agree. We went with Neetling Forshia. Based on consistency, well, this is my shout, not Brevin, sorry. Based on consistency, high defense rate, least amount of scrum penalties conceded, and for me, a great leader.
Yeah, scrummed brilliantly against Kitshoff.
Yes.
Absolutely. Yeah, it was a very good battle between him and Kitshoff in that Ulster game. Like, he held his own. Obviously, a few penalties went against him, but at the same time, he won a few. So, like, it was a good battle, and obviously, Neetling Forshia isn't, as we all know, he's 30-odd, and, he doesn't have the experience that Kitshoff has internationally. So, he did a great job there. But I also went with Neetling Forshia just because of how consistent he has been. And even like a Volko Low, as much as I like a Volko Low, I don't think he's been anywhere near Neetling Forshia this season. I think he's been good, but not that good like Neetling Forshia. So it was an easy shot for me to put Forshia in there.
Yeah, let me just also add that Frans Malabo, if you're watching this, you're still my boy, but you haven't played a lot of rugby this season.
No, he's played one game. He's played one off. Listen, I do not like that we are agreeing 2 out of 3 players already. This does not feel like
it's coming. It's coming.
Yeah, I know it's coming, but we already have to agree on the next one as well, because there's only one person going into that number 4 jersey, and I'm going to take it this time. It's got to be Eben Etzebeth. Like,
no
ways.
Do we have any honorable mentions if Eben wasn't there?
Honestly, again, whatever, Bulls, whatever.
Don't give away your number 5, Revan.
No, I won't. Ludwig Reinhard Ludwig for me, his ability to play 7 against the Stormers, he did very well there. And obviously his ability to play the 5 role. I think he's been fantastic with the Bulls. So, yeah, but obviously, I mean, it's even Etzebeth. He's head and shoulders above everyone. So it's really not that difficult.
Yeah, I can't think of any other 4 in the country. I think I do like that Westhuizen is back at the Lions. He used to play for the Sharks, went overseas, then didn't play for 4 years, and now he's back at the Lions, and he's actually finding his form again. But he's no Eben Etzebeth.
Yeah, fair enough. Brett, take us away with the 5 jersey. Who you got?
I've got Breven. Who do I have? Van Heerden.
Yes, Ruben van Heerden.
I got Ruben van Heerden. That I'm gonna admit this is a bit of bias because I really enjoy how Ruben van Heerden can run. I like a flashy oak. And the oak's got skill. It's evolving like remember back in the day when New Zealand had 2 locks and a white lock and a Retallick that could offload like a fly off. And the whole world was like, but that's not what locks should do, blah, blah, blah. And they revolutionized the game. I think a Ruben van Heerden could be that player. The oak's got skill. The oak can ball.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, so I went with, and again, another bit of bias maybe. I went with Ruan Nokia from the Bulls. I genuinely think he's taken on a captain role this season. Obviously, a co-captain with Marcel Coetzee. But as we all know, Ruan Nokia usually finishes off whereas Marcel Coetzee goes off, and I think he's a steam he's a steam train. He just works and he carries on and on. His ball carries, like he may not get 1,000 meters every game, but you know what? He carries a lot. He's at the rucks every time he needs to be there. He's so good in the line out. I think he works so hard. And I just went off the fact that my 5 lock, personally, I prefer a 5 lock that is more of a workhorse than a ball like bruiser like Eben Etzebeth. So that's how I went and I balanced my locks, is just I prefer my 4 to be the physically dominant lock, and I prefer my 5 to be the lock that does do the carrying, but at the same time he's at the rucks all the time. He's doing the dirty work. So that's why I went with Ruan Nokia for me at 5.
Yeah. I'll have to. I know I agreed with Breven in the first one, but I have to agree with Breven again because just because of the fact he is a lock, he knows exactly what is expected of the lock. I like the wayward shot of Brett, with and a bit of bias, of course. I love Van Heerden as well, but Ruan Nokia wasn't he the captain of the SAA team as well? What's it like 2 years ago? He's been absolutely brilliant. He's always been on the fringes of getting into that South African team. It's just too bad that we have so much talent in that lock position. Like, I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous. Just think about all the good locks in South Africa, and then you move over, and you know, RG Snyman is abroad, Franco Mostert is abroad, John Klein's abroad. It's absolutely Loere Jager as well, making his comeback now. It's ridiculous the depth that we have in that lock position, and it's just like almost too bad. Like, you are so good, but it's just too bad.
When I went through the locks as well, I did the same with the hookers. I went through the team list and stuff like that. Reason why I didn't, and I'm a fan. I don't know if you guys can remember in a few episodes ago, I'm a fan of Ruan Nokia. I really am. I like the O a lot. He's such a calm oak. He doesn't belong at the Bulls because he's too calm. But I just felt that in the last 2 years, his game has dipped a bit. And not in the sense that he's playing worse. It's just he was the Ruben van Heerden 2 years ago that I really enjoyed in him. Like that, I think it was against the Sharks 2 years ago. He broke a tackle and gave a backhand pass, and I don't see that anymore from him. Like, now he's too conservative for me, which is probably going to be the reason why he will be selected above everybody else. But
other people would say he's matured his game, right?
Yes.
It's the difference in the words you use. Brett, just a question for you, since we are Stormers fans. I know Brevan wouldn't agree, but I wouldn't mind if the Stormers go in and splash a bag on Ruan Nokia. He's got leadership abilities. He's got calmness. We are very short on the locks position. Like I really look at our locks, and I think, except for Van Heerden, what do we even have? Like we lacked leadership in our previous games. That is something that we spoke about. If Dion isn't there, who's the leader on the in the team? I would not mind us. Yeah, exactly. The lock that we want to replace with Ruan Orkia. So, Brett, would you mind us going in for someone like a Ruan Orkia?
Not at all. I personally do like a Salman Murat, but not as captain. Like that, he's a bruiser. He should go back to that role. I don't like him as a conservative leader, calm oak that doesn't carry as much as he used to. I don't like that. I want him to go back to his role, give the leadership to somebody else, and then I'll maybe change my mind. But yes, I do like the shouts of.
It's almost like the it's a bit that we saw when he got that captaincy role. Like he's trying to think too much and playing not enough.
Yes.
Brevin, what would you do if we went on and signed Norkia? Cry about it again?
Probably. Genuinely probably would. So
okay, fair enough. Yeah. Just a bit of bands. Moving on to the sixth position. Brevin, take us away.
So I did go with my original choice was going to be Marco van Staden. Purely because I just think he's been fantastic for the Bulls. I think he's a good carrying six, and as we all know, he can steal like a six should be able to steal. A good jackler. He does, again, dirty work. But as we all know, possible injury there. So if we taking that into consideration, Deon Fourie. I mean, really, the guy Deon Fourie is I don't know how he does it at his age, but he does it. And he does it bloody well, and he does it better than most sixes in the world. So, Deon Fourie, you are an acer. And, yeah, I literally have all the respect in the world. So, I'm actually just going to say, Deon Fourie, you can have that sixth position because I have so much respect in him. Yeah.
I don't agree. Yeah.
Brett, I don't agree with you already.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Deon Fourie's played 3 games this season. Yes, he's great and whatever, but he's also been injured for the last 3 games. So I don't know what the thought
we can't change the rules. So Brett, I'll have to agree with you now.
No, but he is fine now. I think they said that he'll play against La Rochelle. However, I went on the rules part of things, and I'm not going to select a Deon Fourie, although he's one of my favorite players in the world, and I think he should have been a Bok 10 years ago already, even when he was playing hooker. But, however, I went with a little bit of a dark horse here. Only reason why I went for this player is because in the last 2 games, he's stealing balls like crazy. And the game against the Bulls at Loftus, he stole the ball, and the Lions missed the kick that would have won them the game against the Bulls. He was the difference. So I went with JC Pretorius.
I mean, he's been a standout player for the Bulls this season. Of course, coming from sevens and stuff. I like the dark horse shout. I'm going to agree with you, Brett. Just because Deon has been injured for a couple of games now. We know we made the rules that if they can play tomorrow, they can make the team. But we're going with JC just to put some respect on his name for the effort that he's put into this Bulls team. He's been vital for them. An interesting question as well. Do you guys see him taking up a role that Kwagga has done for the past few years, maybe coming from the bench and really making an impact? Because he's got speed, he can do everything. Literally, it just feels like a younger Kwagga.
He 100% feels like a younger Kwagga. That's I think the framework that they went with.
Yeah, no, I mean, literally, if they could build JC Pretorius to be Kwagga Smith, and obviously, you want to have your own identity, I get it. But if they can have him have the same impact off the bench, absolutely. I think it's not a bad shout to have him there. And sure, I mean, I've always, from the sevens days, I've always loved JC Pretorius. I think he's a good, strong ball carrier, but at the same time, like you said, so good on the ground, so good at jackling, and so good at making his tackles. And yeah, I think it's not a bad shot at all.
All right, moving on to that number 7 position.
You take us away.
Yeah, go for it.
Me. I'm going with our boy from the Stormers. I know he used to play number 8 and stuff, but since Daimani has come in, he's played number 7. I'm going with Evan Roos. The change that he's made from the start of the season until where he's now in terms of discipline, he looks like he's got that season 1, season 2 form back, running hard, making his tackles, bulldozing over people, absolutely scintillating. Future Bok, I know he's already got a couple of caps, but if you can keep this form alive, you'll have a ton of caps for the Boks as well. So Evan Roos goes into my number 7 flank.
Well, the thing is, right, like I have him in the team as well, but I don't have him at 7. At 7, I have the man who, yes, he's caused some controversy on this part or whatever. We get over that. It is what it is. But I genuinely think Hachiba Daimani this season has been fantastic. I think he's been absolutely phenomenal. I think he in the Ulster game, he was very good defensively, made a lot of tackles. And that was part of what Rassie maybe wanted him to work on, is that work rate on defense. And I think attack-wise, he's been fantastic. Yes, he may not have had that extra boost in the past few games, if that makes sense, like that extra bit of what we've seen. But I think just this whole season, he's been fantastic. So I have Daimani at 7. So, yeah. Brett's at a
top. I'm going with casual bias here, because I think I had Daimani at 7 as well. I had Ruiz. I can't remember.
No, you had Ruiz. You had Ruiz. Yeah.
So I'm going to stick with Ruiz, and the reason being why I didn't go with Daimani is because it feels like he's sulking. Since his name wasn't on that list for that alignment camp, it feels like he's sulking, and he's actually becoming a bit of a rebel now, painting his hair in the rainbow colors, and his nails are painted, and it's, I don't know. I'm taking this personally because I really, really enjoyed watching him play rugby this whole season. Like, we've all been advocates for him, and we've gone crazy about him.
Yeah, we've all said give me 14 Daimanis and 1 Damian Willemse.
Exactly. And now this new, it's probably not new, it's maybe things that I'm just noticing now, but no, not for me. So I went with Evan Roos.
Yeah, just a little spoiler. Daimani's not in my team because he's bad or anything. He's just on the bench because I think it made more of an impact than the likes of Evan Roos would. But I mean, so be it. We got Evan Roos 2-1. Moving into the 8th man. Brevan, take us away. Who do you got there?
Well, that's where I had Evan Roos. So this is pretty irrelevant, but I just think Evan Roos has stood up fantastically since getting criticism for his discipline. I think he said, okay, and you know what? I really respect this about Evan Roos, is he didn't go and this isn't a shot at Daimani before anyone thinks it is. It's just, I think he went away, he took it on the chin, and he came back and he fixed it. And he's showing leadership skills. He's showing fights in games where the Stormers may not have looked absolutely 100% on the day. So I think Evan Roos definitely deserves a spot in the starting lineup here, regardless where it is. So that was my 8, but I'm going to let you guys make the deciding call there.
That was very well said, Brevan. Well done. That was well said. Almost made me teary-eyed, yeah. But I went with, because I went with Evan Roos at 7, I went with Frankie Horn at 8. I think that Frankie Horn at the Lions, he's the complete 8 for me. He's the, I know I've said that I like the flashy players, those type of things, but he's like a Gary Teichmann type of 8. He's that old school, that guy that when he stands there, you know he's going to be the 8. Like, he's not going to be moved to 7 or to lock or whatever. He's the 8. And I just like his overall play. So, and he's on good form. So that's my shout.
I actually just realized that I made a mistake. My 7 was actually Elrich Low. And then my 8 was Evan Roos, because I was looking at the old list before we had injured players. Because my 8 on the list that I have next to me was before we knew we can't include injured players. So I had Cameron Hanekom just because of how good he's been. And obviously, like, Brevany is still injured, right?
No.
Yeah, so we can't include him, but just like respect on Anakom's name. Thing is, like, we like the wayward shouts when it comes to like Frankie Horn. He's been absolutely insane. Obviously, Evan Roos already in the team. What do you think of the likes of Elrich Lau at 7 and then maybe moving Evan Roos to 8? Or do you stick with Evan Roos and trying to Frankie Horn?
I'm a Bulls fan, and Ulrich Lowe only makes my bench, and it's because it's a 6-2 split on my a 6-2 split on my bench, and he only makes it because it's a 6-2. I think Frankie Horn. No, I think Frankie Horn purely because if you remember, and I don't know if you guys agree, but I feel like he reminds me so much of a Warren Whiteley in a way, and I think he's a fantastic player. Obviously got good leadership skills, so I'm happy to have him at 8 as well.
Okay, now moving into the back line, and I think we would agree a bit more when it comes to these things, so we'll probably move a bit quicker through this. I'm pretty sure we all agree on the 9 this far in the season. There's only been one real standout, in my opinion. Yeah. That is Emrose Papier, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
that's one.
I think
Emrose Papier.
Yeah, I mean, shout out to Nahamba when he plays at 9. I mean, shout out to that. At 10, I'm a bit conflicted, but at 9, I think Emrose Papier has been the most consistent 9. I think he's won 4 or 5 man of the matches so far in the URC, and that's just obviously fantastic going. So good to see him picking up his form and fighting for a spot there in the box squad.
Yeah, reason why I didn't go with Nahamba is because I think he's got a terrible box kick. And he's a bit he doesn't look up for me, and that's the oldest cliche when you're talking about a 9. Like, he runs to the ruck and they have a set game plan. He wouldn't look, he'd play where the 10 wants the ball or the next pod wants the ball, instead of just looking up and saying, oh wait, there's 4 against 1 on my right hand side. It's small things like that that made me not pick him. But yes, he's got skill, he's got the potential. I just went with Papier.
Yeah, I agree. It feels like when you're watching now, but of course he's a great player and he's done great stuff this season. But it just feels like he's trying to do too much at certain points, especially when he plays in that fly-off position. We spoke about it on the previous pod when it was just me and Brett. Like, he's a 9 that can play 10, but don't play him 10 if it's not needed. Like, use Jordan Hendrikse there. He is your 10. Like, I kind of think like that's where the Lions have maybe got a hiccup when they just throw in Nahamba just to play a 10. Like, he isn't a 10. Like, I see it as the same as the Faf de Klerk that played 10 a bit against Romania. Like, he can play there, but it's not his position. So obviously we have to go with Emrose Papier. He's been absolutely scintillating. Wouldn't be surprised if he gets into some sort of a box squad with the form that he's in, because you can't lie. Like, he deserves it on the current form. Moving on to 10, and before you guys say your names, I'm just going to throw one out there. And I know he doesn't play in South Africa, okay? But I would just love to put some more respect on him. Tinus de Beer. He has been the best South African 10 in this competition. Like, I know we're most likely going with Mani, but that guy, what he's done at Cardiff, after following up after what he's done for the Pumas in the Currie Cup and stuff, ridiculous. I know he's excluded from the list because he doesn't play in South Africa, but wow.
Yeah, so literally, I'd agree in the sense that I would have, if he played in South Africa, he probably would be in the side. But literally, I have written down by my 10, it says ish ... because my goodness, our 10s have been shocking and in South Africa, and that's just my personal opinion. And then I went, but Mani Libbok. I think it's the obvious shout. I think he's the best playmaker 10 we have. And I just, again, we're going to keep turning back to this until it's fixed. The kicking is an issue. That's the only thing for me. And he looked a bit lost in the first half there against Ulster. But I think Mani Libbok will get there. I'm going to keep backing him, because that's what we do, and I'm going to say Mani Libbok.
He had a good recovery, though, in the second half, to be fair. But in that first half, wow.
He did, but remember episode 2 of Chasing the Sun 2, they actually spoke about it, that when he's missing kicks, his confidence is nowhere. And that was absolutely proven against Ulster. because he was missing kicks, but everyone was missing kicks, so it's not just him. And then all of a sudden he forgets how to pass. He's not kicking out, stuff like that. That's against his characteristics. So, but I'm not going to define his season by one game, because actually his kicks have been good this season. But this game against the Ulster, whoa! So I'm not going to judge him on that.
Okay, moving on. Give me your centre pairing, both inside centre, outside centre. Brett, throw it at me.
The two Dans, Dan Kriel and Dan du Plessis.
Dan Kriel on inside, right?
Yes.
Okay, so I went with David Kriel, sorry. Yeah. I was like, I know what you're trying to say, but it would have worked so well if his name was Dan. So, yeah, his nickname is Dan for this episode. David Kriel for me. I think he's been fantastic for the Bulls at 12. And then I went with a Bulls centre pairing. And this isn't disrespect to Dan du Plessis, as I think Dan du Plessis is a better player than the player I'm about to name. I just think Dan du Plessis is still finding his feet after his injury, and I think he's getting better with time. But I went with Stedman Gans because I think he's been absolutely phenomenal for the Bulls. I think he's outshone. Obviously, Lukhanyo is finding form, but I think he's outshone Lukhanyo so far this season, especially when they played against the Sharks. So I went with Stedman Gans. But I think the obvious answer for me, if he was fit, would be Henku van Wyk. But he's obviously not fit at the moment.
Yeah, mine was completely different to yours. I had Dan du Plessis on the inside centre, and then I had Lukhanyo on the outside centre, because I really feel he's starting to really find his feet again. I thought he had an absolutely brilliant game against Ulster 2 weekends ago. I think he had a great game against Edinburgh last weekend. Obviously, you can't talk about his whole season because he has been a bit shit throughout the season. We spoke about it. So, I mean, I had him there because I also was going to put him as captain for the team. But so obviously, so we're going David Kriel inside centre, and then Brett, would you agree? Probably over the course of the whole season, Stedman Gans has been a bit more of a impact player than Dan du Plessis.
Stedman Gans played most of the games.
He has. It's just the past two. I think they've been giving Kanan a try at 13, which hasn't necessarily been working in my opinion. So they've kind of left Gans out to try Kanan at 13 for the past two games. But I'm not opposed if you do want Dan du Plessis in the side, because we know what he can do. So I'm happy to go with Dan du Plessis.
Also, because casual user host, you can decide on the tiebreaker. I said David Kriel's name is Dan, so I'm a bit of a noob.
Okay, it's Dan du Plessis. I've decided. You don't need to ask me twice. It's Dan du Plessis on the outside centre. I do think, though, he's a lot better playing at the inside centre.
Yeah, agreed.
Now, moving on to the back three, boys, to round off our 15. Who are we going for? I decided we're going to scrap the 23. We're just going to do the 15.
Sure.
Okay. I think we're all going to agree on the back three. I think it's pretty simple. Okay, so I'll just quickly do me. I went at left wing. I went Suleiman Hudson-Berg from the Stormers. Then I went with Kirkley on the right. And I went with Damien Willems at 15. I don't think we can disagree on that, but let me know if you do.
What did I say? You
said exactly the same as me.
Where did I put Willie?
You put Willie at 23, coming off the bench.
Okay, yeah. So we agree that's our back three.
I just want us to quickly talk about, like, obviously Willems goes into that 15 position. He's the best player in the world. Okay, and it's not even up for debate. If you disagree, you're wrong.
Sorry. Brett went with Edward van der Merwe at left wing, and he put Hudson-Berg on the wing. Sorry. Yeah.
Okay, so you didn't put in Kirkley Arendse?
No, he did. He put Kirkley at 14. He put Edward at 11.
So no Hudson-Berg?
On the bench, he put Hudson-Berg.
Oh, Hudson-Berg on the bench.
I'm speaking for him. He's right there. Sorry, my bad.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, well, Brett's wrong. We can agree on that. Anyway, what do we think about the 15 jersey going maybe to the likes of a Devin Williams? He's been brilliant this season.
No, he hasn't. You said that, when you said that on our other group, I started paying attention. And then as you said it, he made 2 of the worst missed tackles ever. And then, no.
I mean, it's the same as you talking about that, that Chiefs fly off, and then all of a sudden he had an absolute horror show.
It wasn't a horror show. He just... No.
Personally, if I look at the Bulls team, I want Kanan at 14. I want Kirtley I want Kanan at 11, Kirtley at 14, or vice versa, whichever one you prefer. And I want Willie or Devon at 15. Devon is not a wing. I don't know why Jake is insisting on playing Kirtley at 13, or playing Devon at wing so he can accommodate Kanan at 13. I think Willie LaRue needs to groom Devon, because as we've seen for the Pumas, he was fantastic. He's had a few good games for the Bulls at 15, not at wing. So that is my issue. I don't think he's a wing. And I just think that he's nowhere near Damian Willemse. I think Damian Willemse is so far ahead of everyone at 15.
In the world.
Yeah.
In the world.
Probably at 15.
In the world. Okay, so just to round it all off, our front 3, we got Gerard Steenekamp, we got Andre Hugo Venter, Needling Fouché. Wow, beast. Okay, 4, Eben Etzebeth, obvious. 5, we had Roan Orkie, special little shout out to Ruben van Heerden. 6, we got JC Pretorius, the dark horse, Kwagga Smith, reborn. 7, we got Evan Roos. Number 8, we got Frankie Horn. 9, the only standout 9. Emrose Papier. 10, the only 10 that plays in South Africa. Mani Libbok. Our centre combination, we went with David Kriel, aka Dan Kriel, as Brett said, and Dan du Plessis. And outside centre, even though we all agree Dan Dupe is better at the inside centre role. And then to round it all off, we got absolute gas. We got Kirtley Arendse, Suleiman Hartzenberg, and the best player to grace this earth, Damian Gaza Willemse. Thank you, everyone, for watching. We appreciate you guys. Please remember to like and subscribe. I keep forgetting to say that at the start of the video. It annoys me. But thank you very much, everyone, for joining. Thank you, Brett. Thank you, Brevan, for always gracing. Yeah?
Just so everyone, before I get ridiculed in the comments, I do know that Dan Kriel is Jesse Kriel's twin brother. I just made a mistake. So before you come at me, relax.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well, thank you, everyone, for watching. Goodbye.